The dish that I'm about to start is called chicken Aphrodite. That really doesn't mean a thing, except my friend Leanne suggested it and I like the way it sounded. It's so beautiful and so delicious. You're gonna love it, so maybe we can go with that. If you wanna cook along with me, check out the website. And before you start your next kitchen or bath remodel, go visit my friends at Modern Supply. They can hook you up. All right, all I've done in this pot is I browned off some bacon, about 6 pieces, and I drained off most of the grease, but not all of it. I want some of it in there. We're gonna retain that flavor. And over here, what I have are boneless, skinless chicken thighs. You can use any piece of chicken that you want. These happen to be on sale this week. They're really full of flavor. I think they taste better than white meat chicken, and they're really inexpensive. These were next to nothing. Now sometimes if chicken breast is on sale, go with that or use whatever your family likes most. I just covered it with a little salt and pepper. Season it pretty aggressively because we're going to continue to season it throughout the process, and we want it nice by the time we get to the end. So all I'm doing right here is I'm browning it off in the pot right on top of what we were already doing. I've already browned off all my chicken. Now, I didn't cook it all the way through. I just wanted to get some color on the outside. Stuck it over there on a plate to hang out for a few minutes, and this is what I have. Okay, can you take a look at that? See how that wonderful stuff stuck down there on the bottom? We want that. That's a ton of flavor. So I've got about half a cup of white wine. I'm gonna deglaze my pan. And deglazing just means that you're using a liquid or an acid, usually an acid, like wine or lemon juice. You can use broth, you can use water, some combination of all of those. Doesn't matter. You're using that to dissolve all that stuff on the bottom so it ends up in your dish where you want it. So on top of that, we're gonna have this gorgeous little collection of veggies over here. And this is what's we're building our sauce with. So I've got an onion. That was about 1 onion. If you like onion, put more. If not, use less. But you need some. It needs that wonderful little sweet thing that happens. I've got an orange pepper and a yellow pepper. You can use whichever kinds you like. I like the sweet of those orange and yellow peppers. I also like the way it looks. But if you want to use something else, go right ahead. And I've got one 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes. And I like doing it this way because what you end up with are all the pieces of all your vegetables about the right size. It looks pretty. It's consistent. Now, we're going to add to this, I don't know, half a teaspoon of kosher salt. All right, you also want to make sure you get a good bit of pepper in there. I like the robust flavor. This is just cracked black pepper. And last but not least, about a teaspoon of garlic. I guess it's about a teaspoon and a half. Somebody once said, if you don't like garlic, don't eat in my kitchen. That's the way it is. All right, last little bit that's gonna go in here is fresh thyme. Now, a lot of time when you find thyme, you can peel it back and just run your fingers that way and it'll pull all the leaves off. Frankly, I don't bother. I use it kind of like you would a bay leaf. I let it simmer down in there. Most of the time, if you have a sauce that simmers for a while, the leaves will fall off and then you don't have anything to do except pull the stem out. Or it just flavors the sauce. I don't mess with the little fussy stuff. Matter of fact, I've even told my kids, they would like, hey, what's this? And they'd hold up a stick, when the leaves fell off, and I'd say, oh, you got lucky, make a wish on it. So that was my way of getting away without doing that for myself. And then I did about half a teaspoon of fresh oregano. If you use fresh oregano, it's really pungent, so be careful. I like to go a little lighter. If you use dried oregano, use about a teaspoon. That's a pretty common ratio when you're using dried herbs and fresh herbs. All right, so over here we've got our chicken. Now, this is not cooked through, remember? We just wanted some color. And we want all of this back down in here. I'm just gonna poke it down in the sauce a little bit because what we're gonna do next is add just enough chicken broth so that we've got a nice consistency. And we're gonna let the chicken and the peppers and the garlic, the thyme and oregano, everything's gonna simmer. See, I like it about that much. Can you see how much? See how much I got there? You don't want to cover it. You don't want, this is not a braise, it's not a stew. What we want to end up with is a really nice sauce. Okay, now, to finish cooking off our chicken, we need about 20 minutes. So I'm going to set this on medium low. You really want it just at a simmer. So whatever your stove does that lets it simmer, that's what you want. We simmered off for about 20 minutes. If you use really big pieces of chicken or if you leave the bone in, make sure you go maybe 30 minutes to accommodate the extra cooking time. We only had 20, which is fine because this dish is super fast. And then look how cool this gets. All right, so right onto our platter. And I want to make sure that I have lots of those beautiful veggies. Now when I serve this, you can do it with rice. I like to do it with pasta and lots of very, very crusty bread to soak up all this stuff. See, that's the good stuff. Now, double check your seasonings. Oh, yummy. No, it's good. Then the bacon that we browned off right at the first, that goes on top. Capers. Pickled berry of the nasturtium flower. This is, I've got a couple of kids who would live on capers. They actually snack on capers. I have to hide them. And then just a little bit of fresh parsley. That is chicken Aphrodite. I guess because we love it.